Hello and welcome to another Flipping the Script. I'm Paul Sullivan. I'm the CEO at Skellig Automation. And today is Amy Williams is joining me, and she's one of our system architects. Amy, thank you for joining me.
Hello. I am Amy Williams. I'm an engineer who's been at Skellig for over 3 years, almost 4 now. My background is automation with Delta V, but I'm currently in our 4.0 group, which is really exciting because I get to work on projects that are really pushing the boundaries on innovation and using newer concepts like the unified namespace.
Excellent. Yeah, it's very exciting. We're just going to do Flipping the Script, and that's going to be, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, then you get a chance to ask me a question on the back end. So first question, Amy, diving right in. What kind of impact do you want to make on the world with your career in life sciences?
Sure thing. We are going to help manufacturers make medicine more accessible. And I can elaborate on that a little if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so when we talk about accessibility, I feel like there are 2 parts. Is it affordable and is it available? So affordable, we all know what that means. Some of these therapies, sadly, are pretty pricey. They're patented. So tragically, some people can't afford them. But there's also another problem, which is it available? So let's say that you have all the money in the world. Can you get your medicine? Sadly, for a lot of Americans, the answer to that question is still no. There was a report from the University of Utah that said as of June 2024, there are over 300 active drug shortages in the US.
Oh, yeah.
And the tragic thing is, like, a lot of these are generic. So some of these are cancer medicines. They're cheap. They cost like $15, $35 a vial. So yeah, they're affordable, but they're not accessible.
Yep.
So that raises the question, from the 1,000-foot view, how do I fix those problems today? Well, the answer is I don't. At the end of the day, it's the manufacturers who have all of the power. They actually produce the treatments that fund the whole industry. So my role with Skellig is to support the manufacturers as much as possible to be successful. So we're doing that by being transparent about what we know. We're trying to lead with education. We have the virtual plant, which is a simple unified namespace demo. We do private 4.0 presentations, and we try to be system agnostic, all that stuff to help try and shoulder some of the risk.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, and I guess, and to that point, I do want to kind of cover briefly like what I recommend for those 2 specific problems.
Oh, yeah, please.
When we talk about affordability, it's important to realize that manufacturing is a business. So whatever the costs are to produce something, that has to be paid by someone. And usually it's the patient. So if we can use newer 4.0 strategies that are more productive, allow for effective information transfer, less manual paperwork, have less licensing, less validation, that is one less cost to be passed on to the patient. And then the other one is availability. So a big cause of drug shortages is the unforeseen issues in the supply chain. And that's why I get so excited about the UNS, because it is the precursor to being a node in a digital supply chain. So if you need single-use bags, you're not just going to ring up one supplier and hope for the best, right? Ideally, you're going to be plugged into inventory of all single-use manufacturers and what their suppliers are doing. So you want to know what's going on with their polymer tubing and fitting suppliers. And if there's a break in the chain, you can be proactive about it and hopefully avoid a shortage.
That's spot on. And it's so exciting to know to feel like what's possible now wasn't really possible a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's new, and it's just very exciting to be part of trying to implement some of that. Do you feel like the industry gives you permission to affect change?
Yes, absolutely. Because you don't need permission to be a positive disruptor. And I think Skellig is a great example of this. Because what makes this company special, what makes it disruptive, is how Skellig treats its engineers and how we take an authentic approach to projects. And tell me, when you founded this company, Paul, who gave you permission to say you're going to run it following the Skellig way? And better yet, who's going to stop Jennifer Jones from waking up every morning, caring about our engineers and building them up? Yeah. No one. Because the values driving your actions are intrinsic to who you guys are as leaders. So what's been amazing is seeing that in the life science industry, there are people who align with our mission of putting the patients first, wanting to do things better, being transparent, and they themselves are becoming disruptors. And let me tell you something. They are asking for permission. They're asking questions. And that's all I really need to be successful. Because if I can get anyone to ask, is the way we've done it before still the best way? Then that's a win. Because the next logical question is, should we try a low risk, small scope, proof of concept just to see what really is the best path? And that's how you get change. Because I promise, once somebody sees the benefits of having open, scalable architecture, they are never going to want to go back to the 3.0 way of discrete connections and data silos. And if we can get the life science industry to adopt the UNS, adopt 4.0 tools, that is definitely going to lead to improved accessibility.
Yeah, well said. No, that's spot on. And it's a privilege to get to do this kind of stuff too, for me. And the way I've always thought about it is the same way as like, how do you take an engineer with some really great ideas, or a group of engineers where you can get the best ideas to the top, and then you can also minimize the amount of, bullshit between the engineer and the problem. It's really hard. It's easy to say and it's so hard to do. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about the industry, what would you change?
If I had magic, I would safely streamline the approval process of biosimilars. So for anyone who hasn't heard of them, a biosimilar is basically the generic of a biologic, and you can produce it after the biologic's patent has expired. And for those who don't know, a biologic is a medicine that comes from a living source. Think like vaccines, right? Now, biosimilars are actually kind of new. It was only in 2009 that the framework to approve them in the United States was established. But I think it's great because, as we know, pharma companies take on a huge risk with R&D, clinical trials. Like only 10 to 15% of their drugs make it through. So it seems fair that they can patent the solution, market it at fair price, makes a profit back. And then hopefully what I want to see happen is once that patent expires, generics can step in and create the biosimilar, which would drive up production, hopefully create more jobs. And then thanks to the high supply, the cost would be reduced for the patient.
Absolutely.
But, it sounds great, but what's sad is it hasn't really taken off yet. As of 2023, the total number of biologics approved by the FDA was like 671. And the total number of biosimilars was only 43. So I definitely think there's an opportunity there. But yeah, if I had magic, I'd want to get generic, safe, cheaper alternatives for medicines that are no longer patent protected.
One thing that I thought was really interesting is that, if you're developing a biosimilar, and I don't have a specific example right now, but if you make something better, then that's a new filing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So there is something there.
Biologic, Paul. That's what you did.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
So there is it is quite difficult, but I'm wondering, I'm sure with AI and stuff like that, there's going to be some new waves of opportunity. It's really exciting right now on the drug discovery side. And I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with you on the manufacturing side, because we need to get ready for what I feel like is going to be a plethora of solutions, and we need flexible manufacturing. We need just large scale, small scale. Like we need so much delivery to save lives and to make this stuff accessible and affordable, because it is getting invented. And, whether it's AI or just scientists and how they work together now, but it's improving. And
it is. And it's so exciting too, because most of these pharma plants, they have manufacturing, but within the same campus, they do have, or nearby, right? They do have pilot plants. They do have the R&D spaces. So if in manufacturing, we can show there's a better way to leverage your data that sets you up for these cool AI tools, it'd be great to see that expand into the R&D space and hopefully get the approval rate up more from 10%. Right?
it's all down to the organization of data. Because pulling an end of filing or anything together, then if you can just streamline the structure of the data, then it's more conducive to any kind of complex reporting or any kind of criteria, and it's more trustworthy if you can kind of have
Yeah, it's legit. No
yeah,
transcription errors.
exactly. Exactly, that's the other part of it too.
Cool.
So it is very exciting. All right, that's it.
I have a question for you, Paul. If you could go back 10 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
Knowing isn't doing. I think in the last 10 years, like I've done less engineering and more CEOing or managing or whatever. I've very few regrets because I usually try to like lean into what do I think, based on the information I have today, what do I think is the most conducive with my gut instinct? And I don't think I've ever deviated too far away from the gut instinct. So then it helps minimize regret. Have I always made the smartest choices? I don't know. You can put out a poll for that. There's lots of people that'll
But
tell
you
you
made a choice. I think that's the most important
making
thing.
the
It's
choice.
okay if you made the wrong choice. You can do something, right? Learn from it,
Yeah.
make another choice. Worst thing
Yeah.
is inaction.
I wish I did a better job of in the last 10 years, just moving more boldly when you know something. So even though I'm talking about I've made a lot of choices, could I have made more choices or faster choices? And if I remember the question correctly, it was like, what would I like to inform my younger self?
Yes.
Usually enough information's enough. And usually just don't deviate from your gut instinct and just make choices, especially if they're reversible choices. Make them as quickly as possible and make them faster than you have made them, because you can go back if it's wrong. The choices that I've agonized over are the ones that you think they're irreversible, like you got to part ways with someone, or you got to figure out a new way of moving in a direction that's going to impact someone else. And you want to make those very carefully. I think that would be where I would love to tell my younger self to be better at that. If you know something, then go ahead and do it, act on that. Um,
That's
so,
awesome. I love it.
all right. Well, thank you, Amy. This has been a
Awesome.
pleasure. I
Yeah,
appreciate
as
it.
always. Cool. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for watching the video, and like and subscribe. Till the next time. Bye.
Bye bye.